Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
So let's finish up today with Uruguay and Brazil. And again, what region is Uruguay in? That's the third state in the Southern Cone, and really it's sandwiched between two giants. What are the two giants that Uruguay is between?
Brazil.
Argentina and
Brazil.
Brazil. In many ways, it's an extension of the Pampa area of Argentina with the population, the cattle farms, a lot of Europeans of all different background, many different ethnicities living here, but the farming is fairly rich there, and yet Uruguay does have its issues with being sandwiched between these two giants. For instance, in Montevideo, a paper mill was proposed, and it never really got off the ground because paper mills often have a lot of air pollution, there can be water pollution, and so its big neighbor across the way, Buenos Aires, is just across the channel here, and there was a big backlash against the development of this paper mill. So you can see that's why it's known as the buffer state. And finally we have Brazil, the giant of South America, dominating in size, in population, and also in total economic output. And again, we like to say that even though the per capita, people make more money in Argentina, they make a lot less money, or they make more money in the Southern Cone overall, but Brazil's total economy is one of the fastest growing in the world, so the total economic output is growing at a pretty quick rate. Currently, there's a little bit of a recession. We'll look at some videos on that, but the economic downturn that started around 2007, 2008, and the train wreck that has happened afterwards has left a lot of countries, in various forms of disrepair and struggle. But still, it has been over the last maybe 5 to 10 years. It has been known as one of the emerging economies and growing quick. So there's a lot of competition, especially with the United States. Orange juice, chickens are two of the food products that there's huge competition going on. So overall, Brazil still dominates this realm of South America as being the largest in many ways. We like to look at Brazil by section. So let's just go over the sub-regions of Brazil. Let's start with way down in the south here. So as far as GDP and per capita incomes go, it is the richest area down here. There is an area called Florianopolis that you see right here that is extremely high-tech area. Then, if you go up the coast a little bit to Sao Paulo state is booming. That is the place where people are flocking to for opportunities and jobs, and actually that's where a lot of the output, over half the output, economic output of Brazil comes from Sao Paulo state, and this is where a lot of the huge competition with the United States, with the big coffee plantations, and there's a lot of industry there too. And coffee plantations are known as fazendas, and there's a lot of orange juice, there's a lot of industry, so Sao Paulo is booming and fastest growing, and now the largest megacity, and South America has its megacities, and this is the biggest one. So Sao Paulo state is booming. Next up we have, and this is really a corridor, you see. It's a conurbation where the cities have all actually run together in a corridor of growth. So moving up on this corridor, this third place is, or sub-region is Rio. Rio is the cultural heart of Brazil. It's the colonial capital and beautiful colonial buildings. Rio is a tourist hub. There's gold there. So so this really would be the culture heart of Brazil. And moving on up to Belo Horizonte, the development continues all up through there. Let's look at where the capital is. Brasilia is on the edge of it. This area is known as the interior, or the Cerrado, where there's big plains where soybean, a lot of the soybean that is being cranked out in Brazil is coming from there. Big giant machines that would reap and harvest and take care of the crops of soy and also cotton in the Cerrado area of the interior. And Brasilia is the forward capital, so it was created to bring attention to that area and develop it. And then finally we have the north, which is the location of the Amazon and the selvas of the Amazon, where there are growth poles. People, again, this is where the Amazon people had lived here, the tribal peoples, indigenous peoples, and so a lot are very poor, and the remaining families that live there are very poor, and so when offered incentive to develop, in a growth pole there would be some incentive, a little road would be put in, and then that's how the rainforest gets eaten up quite quickly if it's done on a large scale. Many small farmers developing, but it looks like a fishbone where the road snakes out, and then we have these little subdivided plots that just eat up the rainforest quickly. So this is happening on a fairly large scale, and there needs to be some creative ways to keep the rainforest and sustainably also give the people a way to create businesses too, and to survive and educate their children. Finally, the northeast, this is where most of the plantations were, very African in flavor and ethnicity and culture, yet very poor too. This is the poorest of the regions of Brazil. There's been a lot of programs to try to help the inequality, but still there's very, it's poor. This was plantation, and so we know how infertile the soils can be, and once the plantations take out the nutrients of the soil, what's left is there's this backcountry known as Sertão, and the people that live there, really high illiteracy rates, high infant mortality, high mortality of mothers in giving birth and such, not many doctors, and very infertile soils. And so this northeast area, and Salvador is really the capital, is the highest in poverty. And so although there's been a lot done in Brazil to relieve some of the inequality, there's been a lot of revolts and demonstrations from people that don't have very much, and so there's more work to be done there. But overall, Brazil, very upcoming and growing, despite its problems with recession. Still a lot going on. So thank you. That finishes up South America.